Welcome, everybody. Thank you for attending. Good day to you. My name is Dr. Michael Reading. Thank you for attending our MBA program open house with BGU. I have a chance today to hear from people either currently in the program, alumni from the program, people on the field, and seeing how this MBA program, the approach to transformational leadership and engaging just economic philosophy and practice has helped shape their journey and shape the organizations and communities that they're a part of. Then last 5 years, I transitioned to Walmart home office where I do leadership and organizational development. Currently now, I am also an adjunct professor with BGU, the MBA program, and help serve on the advisory board and get to work with great people. What we'll be doing this day is I'll introduce our moderator, who will be leading a panel discussion for about 30 minutes, and we'll have an opportunity after that for some Q&A for people who have any questions. Notice the chat box in the Zoom will be the place where you can looking for ways that you can learn more about the program and follow up with that, and then we'll conclude our time together. With that, I want to introduce to you Dr. Zachary Hamilton. Zach is a U.S. Air Force veteran, does transition management specialist. He's led numerous social and professional organizations through intense, high-pressure situations. He has 20 years of faith-based community organizing experience throughout the U.S. Actually started in web design and as a commercial cleaning business in the 2010s. He now operates 2 restaurants in Alaska where he lives. He began homeschooling his 4 boys during the pandemic, which is the most oppressive thing to me. The boutique coaching and consulting firm he co-founded called the Department of Doing Good, where he helps individuals, organizations, companies, and cities and nations impact the world. He ran for mayor this year, came close to winning, but just fell a little bit short. But the good news is because of that, he's able to do things like this with us. So with that, Dr. Hamilton, I hand it over to you.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate you. It's my honor to be able to be on the call today and just moderate a conversation with 5 individuals that are on the call with us today that are just amazing folks. And I want to just brag on them a little bit here at the beginning, if I can do that. First, we have Dr. Mbenga, Matthew Mbenga. He is the CEO of Foundations for Farming. He's a pastor of Highlands Presbyterian Church. He's a member of our BGU Board of Regents. He's a BGU faculty member. He does teach courses in our School of Business. And one of the things I saw in Matthew's bio that just really stood out to me is his organization was awarded a prestigious international award in 2022 by the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization in Rome for feeding 9 million people during COVID and making Zimbabwe food secure for the first time in 20 years using its signature conservation agriculture methodology. Come on, that's pretty awesome. That is world-changing work there, Dr. Mbenga. And thank you for sharing that with us. We got Dr. Les Hurst is going to be participating in the conversation with us today. He is the academic coordinator for the PhD program of BGU. He's a faculty member in our School of Business as well. He has 43 years as a scholar practitioner, promoting leadership development on every continent. Let that settle in your mind for a moment. He served as organizations as a CEO, a regional director, a program manager, and board chairman, among other roles. One of his sons is a CIO for an important organization, and another works for a U.S. senator. And so those things stood out to me in Dr. Les's bio that I looked at not too long ago. And we also have Fred Billings in participating in the conversation today. He's a current EMBA student in our School of Business. Fred, was your organization the largest certified organic vegetable grower in Texas for the past 10 years. Is that correct?
For a 10-year period, not the past 10 years, but for
a 10-year period. Got it. That just really jumped out to me as I was learning more about you, Fred. And you've served as an agricultural economist for the National Commission on Agricultural Trade and Export Policy. And you've been involved in a very fascinating project, and I only know very little about it, but you've been serving as a economic development consultant for the Indian Commerce Campsite for the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribe? Is that correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep.
On the Flathead Reservation in Northwest Montana. And that was really fascinating to me as I learned just a little bit about that work that you're doing there. We also have Comfort Jennings, who will be participating in the conversation today. She's a current BGU student. She's mixing in courses from BGU's School of Business. And so we'll be able to get a little bit of perspective from Comfort about taking courses in our School of Business, as well as Fred. And she is the founder and CEO of a Ghanaian company that was started in 1996 that produces shea butter, handcrafts, and local bead jewelry. And the organization, she's grown it to the point of exporting to the US, UK, Canada, Australia, and Japan over the last several decades. And Comfort is a US State Department alumni in a program that they offer, and also president of the African Women's Entrepreneurship Program in the West Africa region. Amazing. Joanne Thomas, who is a EMBA alum and originally from Guyana. She's an officer of the Salvation Army for the past 27 years. And for many of those years, she's provided executive leadership and project management and development to their operations in the Caribbean. And she's now based, I believe, in Kingston, Jamaica, serving as a territorial auditor and compliance and risk management officer, just working at a very high level in that organization for a long time. And Joanne will be participating in the conversation as well. Now, as I just briefly introduce these five individuals, I want you to process and think about that of just these five individuals involved in our School of Business in different capacities as students, faculty members, alumni. We have several different parts of the world represented just in these five individuals, either where they're currently living, where they're from. The work that they're doing is global. And I'm just always so impressed when I meet BGU faculty members, students, alumni, and just learning about the amazing and interesting work that each person is doing around the world. Now, I want to just have an icebreaker question, because I can't say everything that could be said about each of you, certainly. And many of you I'm just now getting to know a little bit. And so I want you to just briefly tell us something about your background or about yourself that I didn't already mention. You could talk about an area of expertise that you might have, maybe your first experience with BGU as a student or alumni, a faculty member. Just tell us something about you that you think is relevant to this conversation within the context of the BGU School of Business. And I want to just ask Fred, would you start, and then each of you just chime in after Fred, and Dr. Mbenga, would you end this part of our conversation? Tell us something about yourself, Fred, that I haven't already mentioned.
It's a privilege to be with everyone this morning, and I decided at the ripe age of 58 to go get an EMBA from Baki for a number of reasons. What the principal reason was to help build out a generational transition of our family from my generation to the next several generations, and begin to build that. And our business is a family business. My main day-to-day occupation is I own a landscape design and install business. And so I get to design really cool stuff and build it in people's yards. And I'm in Montana, as you said, most of the summers. We have 7 demonstration gardens here and a program that we do called Garden for Life. And so that's a little bit. There's I have 11 grandchildren, 6 children and 11 grandchildren. And so that's something that keeps us engaged in a lot of different things. And I've loved what I've learned so far at Baki, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the time. Basically, I'm an entrepreneur.
Awesome. Thank you, Fred. Joanne, tell us something that I haven't already said about you.
Well, good morning, everyone. Something that you have not said about me is that I am a skilled accountant, specialized in Salvation Army accounting systems, and I really enjoy doing what I do. I'm also an ordained minister of the gospel, and therefore I have a great balance of business and ministry that I bring to the table. And BGU has helped me to, earn my seat around the table with confidence. And I'm married to my husband for 26 years, and we have 1 son. And if there is one thing that I would like to do is to tell people who are, looking to get to the top, you need to come to BGU to give you the perspectives that you need to feel confident in your day-to-day executive presence and what you have to offer to develop your organization or your personal business, whatever it is that you're doing. And so I'm happy to be an alumni member of this prestigious university, and I want to make it clear that leaders need to get in and do what they need to get done there. Thank you.
It's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Joanne. Comfort, share with us something about you that I haven't already mentioned.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Greetings from Ghana. For me, coming to BGU is like a home, being at the right place at the right time. And in my business, I call it my ministry. And when I came to BGU, then I came to realize that I was actually doing a theology of work. And that gave me so much confidence that I cannot keep quiet about sharing my experience at BGU and the courses that I'm taking. Because I work with the rural women, I mean, all the courses are just perfect for me to actually give back to these women. My focus is actually on making impacts, reaching out to the unreached. So I always do medical missions to reach out to the women and communities. Thank you very much.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being on the call with us today and part of this conversation. Dr. Hurst, would you just share briefly with us about you and just let folks get to know you a little bit more?
Sure. Yeah, you didn't mention that I speak Spanish fluently and can read most of the other Romance languages. I think what I bring to this is represented by this world. My wife brought this for me in China, and it sits on my desk. It reminds me that if we don't have the ability to do cross-cultural engagement in a global world, in a world where everyone we meet in any given day might be from any country, if we don't have that kind of skill, we won't be able to effectively lead. And so that's what I bring to BGU is the experience of leading people from other cultures and understanding how to engage with them. And I enjoy these courses. My last course had spanned 17 time zones. all the way from
Wow.
all the way from Seattle, Washington to Brunei in the Indonesian islands, and that excites me. And so that's sort of what I'd like to talk about.
That's awesome. Well, I think you almost need a PhD in time zones to be able to navigate how to get everybody together on a call. Thank you so much, Dr. Hurst, for sharing that with us, and I love that you pour into your students just this posture of leading as a learner and cross-culturally. It's amazing. Dr. Mbenga, share with us briefly about you, something that I haven't already said.
Thanks, Zachary. I think probably the most interesting thing for people on this call would be that Les and Martine are both former professors of mine at BGU. I took classes with both of you. And then Joanna and Michael Reading are both students of mine. And I'm drinking coffee out of a coffee cup that I got from Fred Billings when he visited me here in Zimbabwe. And I've spent, what was that, Fred? 2 years ago, I was in Montana with Fred, visiting some of those gardens and seeing some of that stuff. So this is an incredible network. I love that this is lifelong, kind of, as Les was saying, cross-cultural, international. This is just the beginning. So really exciting. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Mbenga. From an educational perspective, I'm just going to keep you talking here, okay? From an educational perspective, or from your own experiences, what makes BGU a unique and special institution?
So I think being able to kind of go at your own pace, being able to self-motivate, set time apart, and do it in the midst of your day-to-day. I think that was the most amazing thing for me. That was transformational, that I could have a full-time job and still do this and have 4 kids. It was mind-blowing that, hey, wow, okay, I can learn how to do that. Most of my professors were able to kind of navigate with me and do that. I think that was the most unique and beautiful, powerful part of the journey for me, was learning to do that concurrently. And the fact that actually everything that I was studying and learning and the books that I was able to read and the way that I was able to do my coursework just perfectly aligned with what I was actually doing at work. So whether it was preaching, I would do a course and I would write a paper, and I had all the ammo that I needed to then turn around and just preach the same message on Sunday, or to carry that through to my work at Foundations for Farming and working with the team or doing whatever I was doing on the ground. I was just being poured into and being equipped the whole time, whether it was financial classes or management classes or human resources or project management, whatever I was studying, it was applicable all the way through.
It's awesome. Just the synergy through every facet area of life, what you're learning through your work with BGU applies in every area of life. It's amazing. Joanne, I want you to give us some perspective just from another BGU alum. What has made BGU a unique and special institution for you to be a part of, to be learning with and from and through, and now you're part of this alumni network. Tell us what has made BGU unique and special for you.
Yes,
Unmute. Yep, there we go.
Yes, thank you for your question. What stands out for me at BGU is the value it gives to us as individuals, regardless of where you're from in the world. You're given the opportunity, with great respect, to express your views on different subject areas, and then while you're doing that, the course outline is set up in a way to shape your thinking towards a more open and broader perspective, so that you are not isolated in your thinking, but you're stretched, to make others feel that, yes, this is my view, but yours is as important as mine as well. And it refines the way you think and show up in the world. And it sets you apart, especially with a strong that strong Christian perspective, because a lot of executives these days, even though they are Christians, they tend to separate that aspect of themselves when it comes into the whole aspect of business. But BGU, helps us to be proud of who we are holistically, and it add value. It makes you feel like, look, even though you are a Christian, that should stand out and should not be hidden. And so that guides your ethical values. It informs the way you make decisions, the way you value people, and this whole idea of diversity and cultural awareness. It's very unusual, the way the training at BGU helps you to form your executive presence, I'll say.
It's awesome. As you're talking, I'm thinking, being part of BGU's alumni network, having learned from so many amazing people through BGU, and just going around the world and learning in cross-cultural context, it really feels like a superpower that I carry with me from now on, that maybe somebody might not know about unless I share it with them, but there's a confidence and a competence that I think we carry as BGU alumni that, we don't need that affirmation from anyone else. We have it from God, and we know it within ourselves because we've been a part of something. We are part of something that is special and unique in the world. And so I'm right there with you as you're sharing. Fred, I want to direct a question to you, kind of a similar question, but I want to change it up just a little bit. You're currently enrolled in the MBA program, and how have you found, just being a student at BGU and part of this program, how have you found it aligning with your personal and professional goals at this point in your career and just in your life? How are you finding your experience aligning with your personal and professional goals? Maybe it's the reputation of BGU, maybe it's accreditation, maybe it's something related to the course selection or the duration of the program or particular areas of interest or concentration. Maybe it's connections to certain professors or other students. How are you finding this aligning with your personal and professional goals, Fred?
Zachary, all of those things you mentioned are really great, but not the one that actually has meant the most to me. And I can say it in a word, as students and potential future students are here. There are really two words that have caused my experience of BGU to align with both personal and professional activities. And the first one is application. If you're spending money on an education, then that education should have application to your business immediately. And it's not just theory, it's actually practice, and it's tools, and it's things that I've been able to use across 5 different operations that I work in and for, as well as my goal for my family business and doing that. So you can. I'm a business guy, so if I'm going to spend the time and the money to do this, it needs to produce something that is immediately useful in my business, and I think that's been one of the biggest challenges because I'm learning something, and then I'm that week trying to do the assignment, and at the same time I've got 4 applications of that in what I'm doing, and so that translates down to value. And the second word is relationship. All education can bring to you information, but at BGU it doesn't just bring information that is applicable. It brings relationships with people all over the globe. Matt and I have been able to collaborate on things Others have been able to collaborate, and those relationships have been had add value to my life, my work, my world, and they also provide outlets for me to participate in what the other students are doing in some way, and be able to contribute to the challenges they're facing. And so those relationships are collaborative and challenging. So application and relationship would be my two. But your list was really good.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So this is a question I want to direct toward Dr. Les, and then if somebody else maybe wants to speak to it as well, allow you a moment to do it. I want you to, you may need just a moment to think about it. This is a simple question, but it's also a hard question. I want you to explain what is an EMBA as if I'm 5 years old. Explain to me, you know, an EMBA program or degree, but explain it to me as if I'm 5 years old. Like what is an EMBA? What is that credential? What is that degree? How does that impact me as a professional? And try to do it using terms that we can all quickly understand, grab a hold of, and consider.
Yeah, you didn't give me the easy one, did you? I just happen to have a shepherd's crook with me right here. If I were talking to 5-year-olds, I would have this beside me, and I would say, what the EMBA about is about leading. It's like leading sheep. When you have cows, you drive them, and I think a 5-year-old would have seen a picture of horses and a big herd of cattle, and they're driving the cattle towards some destination. But that isn't what we do with sheep. With sheep, you have to lead them. You have to get out in front of them, and you have to have this in order to pull the sheep in and be able to get them to go where you want them to go. This is a shepherd's crook. And I have this in my office all the time because what we teach in EMBA is not how to drive people to do things or to change. We teach people how to shepherd people toward change, shepherd people toward a better way of doing things, shepherd people toward new ways and innovation. And so that's how I would describe it to a 5-year-old. And I think maybe with this help with this, I might actually get it across.
It's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. I know I put you on the spot there. I didn't give you that question beforehand. So, Dr. Mbenga, are there any upcoming courses or developments within our School of Business or BGU as an entire organization that you're really excited about? Anything that you've heard about or that you're working on that you're excited about and you would want to share with us today?
Sure. So it's hard to pick. I think one of the great things about BGU is that it's so relevant because it is obviously faith-based and so diverse. So I just love every single call, every faculty call, every alumni call, whatever we're doing, calls like this, where you just get incredible input from all over the world. So you get this incredible kind of mosaic of what God is up to all over the place. And so as a result of being part of this BGU family, I'm connected to so many different things. For example, the Lausanne movement, which is part of the sort of the foundation of BGU. And so I'll probably be in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia in November this year, and then hopefully in Seoul, South Korea around this time next year. And so I think just those kind of opportunities to travel. I did, the on-site portion in Kuala Lumpur 4 or 5 years ago. And just love that. So I love that there's kind of growing opportunities to travel and experience different parts of the world and different facets of this diamond that God is revealing what he's up to, where he's at work. And so I think in terms of the curricula and that sort of thing, if you can travel, if you can go and experience any of those emotions anywhere in the world, go for it. Go do that. And I think that the PhD is a really exciting thing. I think the opportunity to really study and do the research, I think that's a really valuable and powerful sort of a thing that I'm sad wasn't available when I was studying, because that research is such a beautiful, unique thing that gives you such credibility, I suppose, with anything that you want to present or speak about or do. Obviously, it's amazing for me. I have an incredible amount of support and the ability to kind of make strong arguments in my case when I'm kind of trying to convince USAID or FAO about a new policy or a new way to kind of implement something or go about doing something. I have enough kind of backing with my DTL and the ability to make a strong case and to kind of present an argument, but I just feel like I lack the research. And that would be one thing that I think I would consider going back and studying some more and pursuing the PhD just to get that research component. But there's so much. I think that's what's great. There's so many different facets and opportunities. But number one, I think my final kind of takeaway: travel. If you can go on those immersions, it's such a beautifully packaged opportunity to just do exactly that, to immerse yourself in a different culture and to learn. It was just like drinking from a fire hose, being in Kuala Lumpur, and we were in a different organization every morning, every afternoon, and then sort of discipleship and Bible study every evening. I just came away from that so full, and I'm still quoting people that I met and experiences that we had on that Kuala Lumpur immersion 5 years ago, 2018.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was able to experience many immersion trips while I was a student at BGU, and the cross-disciplinary learning that happens on those immersion trips where you travel to a particular global city and you are learning alongside students in multiple different programs in BGU. And so our EMBA students just being able to learn from PhD students and DTL students and other students at BGU and learning from their life and work and being able to apply that in their professional life and in their learning is amazing. And one student that is part of our conversation today, Comfort, I know is part of a different program, but has been taking courses in our EMBA program as well, and being able to mix in that cross-disciplinary learning. And Comfort, I think maybe you've recently taken the organizational assessment course as part of our program, and just want you to share briefly with us about some takeaways from that course, or what was most exciting or applicable for you in that course that has really helped you in your life and work as a professional doing some amazing things.
Thank you very much. The organizational assessment was very helpful. It deepened my knowledge, even though I've been running my business for so many years. I mean, we leave the organizational assessment to consultants to come and do and then write something for us. But after taking this course, I have learned so much. And one thing about BGU is the books that you read. One of them is Peter Drucker, that gives you the 5 questions. And it's like I took the course, directing and linking it directly with my staff. We were doing it as we go along. And I keep telling them that we are doing this course together because it relates to what we are doing every day. And so, and one of the things that I also learned is one of the Chinese proverbs say that if you cannot, I've learned so much. My staffs are now up because we pasted so many quotes in our office, and it actually builds their confidence also. And I can just walk into an organization, walk straight round through the flow and tell them what they need to do. So I'm so grateful. And one of the things, your professors will not allow you to actually go behind the scene. They will spend time with you and help you to go deep and leave out what you are learning. So I think one of my professors said that I am not the student who joined BGU. I just shot up like a bullet. And that is very true. That is very true. Thank you very
It's
much.
awesome. Thank you for sharing that. It makes me think, about just how special our professors are. Many of our professors, well, all of them are not just scholars, they're practitioners. And so they've been doing the work, they do the work, they've been in the trenches. And, not only can they coach, but they can mentor from their own experience. And so the accessibility of our professors to our students has been transformational for me. I hear you sharing that as you share today. And I know for each BGU student that comes through our programs, just the connection to men and women who can coach and mentor them along the way, not just be their professor of record for their course, but a friend for the journey is awesome, and something I think that really sets BGU apart in this space. I want to do one final question for this time, and then we'll kind of open to questions to others as well, to be able to ask questions in the chat box, and Michael will kind of help us navigate that time as long as myself. And so here's what I want you to think about, panel. I think what makes BGU unique and interesting in this space globally is that BGU to me is a disciple-making factory. As a university, as an educational institution, from my perspective, we produce world-class change agents, and people who are already doing amazing things align with BGU for their education to be enhanced as transformational leaders, as influencers. And we produce world-class change agents, and we deploy them all around the world and in some of the most vulnerable communities that you can imagine. And thinking in this way, if BGU is a disciple-making factory, here's the question. What does the EMBA graduate look like, think like, act like at the end of this process? So if there's a person today that's considering becoming part of this program now, they're on the front end of that decision. At the end of the process, what are they going to look like, think like, act like? You can talk from your own experience with BGU, but also just projecting forward. How is that person going to be transformed and changed to be a change agent in their community or in their context? I want to ask Dr. Mbenga, why don't you start us there and give us some insight. What does that student look like? What does that graduate look like at the end of their program? What do they think like? How do they act differently?
So maybe I'll put it like this. I think it's like Peter or Simon, son of John, in Matthew 16, where Jesus says, "Who do people say that I am?" And so I think as believers, as students, as workers, as business people, as guys, that we have a theology, but perhaps we don't have a complete theology of work, and we don't, we understand that God created us to work, but there's a tension there, and we're not really sure that we like it. But I think so maybe we're like the other guys that say, oh yeah, they say you are Elisha, they say you are a prophet. Some say, we've kind of got a sense of it. And then I think that once you've gone through this process, and once you've experienced and you've encountered and you've dug deep and you've done the long hours and you've studied and you've learned and you've read 20 books or 36 books or whatever it is, you come out the other end and you say, it's kind of like Jesus saying to Peter, who do you say that I am? And there's a knowing, there's a kind of like, it's no longer just a kind of a cerebral knowledge, but it's a depth of knowledge that I think we can answer with that conviction of you are the Son of the living God, and I think that was the shift for me. It was from a kind of a distance, a cerebral sort of a thing, to an embodiment. And I now have a clear sense of my destiny, my calling. I know who I am. I know why I'm here, and I know what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. And I think that conviction is what an EMBA graduate looks like. Someone that has that conviction, that has also just the confidence of having the qualification, that you can now go and present yourself knowing, hey, I've done the work, and I know some stuff, not with an arrogance, not with a, hey, I know all the answers. In fact, I found that the more education you do, the more that you know that you don't know. And so it doesn't actually help in that sense, but it's a quiet confidence, and it's a deep conviction, a different way of looking at the world.
That's awesome. Joanne, share with us, what does that EMBA graduate look like? Joanne?
Oops.
She there?
I think we lost
her.
All right, Les, you go ahead and share.
Yeah, it makes me think of Jesus' discussion with his disciples in Mark 10. They were fighting about who was going to be the greatest in the kingdom, who was going to be, of course, next to Jesus. And I thought, well, obviously they hadn't done the EMBA program, because in the EMBA program, we emphasize the humility of serving, not the arrogance of leading and dominating. And I think, to me, if we're successful at all, the graduates will be humble servants who have the ability to lead, to transform others because they know how to lead in that way.
Good insight. Thank you for sharing that. Fred, share with us, how are you seeing yourself being transformed through this process, so that at the end you will have become more and more the leader you want to be?
I would say that the product of BGU is actually a better equipped, more articulate version of who I want to be and who God wants me to be. And it doesn't really matter where I'm applying that, whether it's in my family or my business or some other aspect of the life that I live. Being better equipped, being more articulate, and being better related to the people around me, regardless of whether they're from, and having that input, having that insight is what BGU produces. What you do with it is a wide panorama of choices. And I think that's a strength of BGU, that of all the students and the professors that I know, I don't think two of them are in even a related activity or business. Maybe Matt and I are the closest because we get our fingers in the dirt now and then, but it's pretty much it's pretty broad, and that's fun. It's fun for me, and that's what I would tell a 5-year-old, that hey, this is a way to make learning fun when you're a grown-up.
That's awesome. Is Joanne back on the call with us? Okay,
Yes, sir.
that's all right.
I'm here. I'm here.
There you
I
are.
had some connectivity problems. Yes, thank you.
Oh, no problem. So the question that I'm proposing is, at the end of the EMBA program, how does the graduate look different, think different, act different? Like, what is that transformation as we've seen that person grow through their program? You are the embodiment of that. And so share with us about that.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I'm sorry if I have to repeat, but before BGU, I had a very closed mindset, you know. operate in a corporate world, and I suffered a great deal for that. Having been to BGU and been exposed to the globe, I mean, it has done me well. Not only do I look different, I show up different. I'm very open for whatever it is that is coming on any particular day. And as much as possible, I take nothing personal. You know, I just think that people operate from the space that they're in, and BGU has trained me to think above where I am. You know, it's like the famous quote of Michelle Obama that says, when people go low, you go high. So I make that my daily affirmation, because I'm in a space where, yeah, there's a lot going on and so on. So BGU prepares you to encounter a hostile world, but still being very gracious, having received grace. You know, and it's a beautiful thing. It's really a beautiful thing. And had I not gone through the program, I would not have had a success story. I would not have had a success story. And my story, I can see, is not only going to be progressive now, but I can see, moving on in the future. And this, continuous learning and personal development would be a very important catalyst, not only for change, but to really be an example of what Jesus would want in the body, and
Yes.
It's a great experience, I'll say. It's a great experience, and persons who are thinking about, should I or should I not? I'm saying to you, you must. You must
That's
come,
awesome.
You must fulfill this training, and you'll be a better person thereafter.
Awesome. So well said. Thank you for sharing about your experience, Joanne. Michael, go ahead and unmute your mic there. And is there any questions that you've seen there in the chat box that you want to bring to the attention of the panel that they could speak to? Help me out there a little bit. And
yeah. One, maybe panel may need some outside assistance from others. Someone's asking what the difference is between the EMBA program and the Masters in Transformational Leadership, as they may are considering one of two paths. So if someone speak to that.
So I will say, we have Dr. Scholastica on the call here, Dr. Martine. There may be a few others that could also speak to some of these questions. And so, feel free to unmute your mic if it's a question that's something that would be more relevant for you to speak to as well, to just provide the correct information for us. Just kind of an open question.
Thank you, Dr. Hamilton. I would suggest that the EMBA is really more business focused, whereas the MATL is has a broader focus with also people in ministry and non-profits as well. I want also to underline that the EMBA equips you as a leader to be highly influential in the business economic world. That is the high power that governs our nations, believe it or not. So with the EMBA, you are fully equipped actually to be influential as at the highest levels for the in an environment that is extremely challenging, but has huge opportunities for Christian leaders. Hope this helps.
Thank you for sharing that.
Maybe I can jump in there and just say as well, not as a kind of a personal pitch for my own class, but one of the things that we discuss in my class is the circular economy. And I think that has just universal applicability in equipping people to not only do that in their own environment, but to look at a global perspective of the circular economy and understand how we are influencing and impacting the world, and how we can be better stewards of creation.
Maybe another difference is that the EMBA is a degree that probably would be recognized universally, whereas the MATL, people would say, well, what is that? So if you're in a setting where you need sort of recognition of your credential, that's not necessarily needing explanation, EMBA is probably a good way to go.
Yes.
I just want to quickly add, I find out as a director of the EMBA program that we have students that have gone through doctoral programs elsewhere come back to take the EMBA. And I think this speaks to what both Dr. Mbanga and Martin talk about. Why do they do that? The EMBA is that degree that creates such a foundation in a broad spectrum, because it's helping elevate a person's leadership. You may have that technical skill, that desire to transform, but there are certain organizational dynamics, that the EMBA just gives to everything, even if it's cooking, it's dancing, it's ministry. It's a mindset that my life itself is a business. How do I transform that to make a profit? Not in materialism like we may think, but making an impact and having influence. So you may even have a PhD here, like Dr. Reading, if there was time, would share his story. And you see that there's that gap, and you want to come back to strengthening that type of thinking. I just say this in a second. I was telling Dr. Martin the other day, I have a doctoral degree, I'm a doctor. But I had a call from the United States federal government agency of capital access, because I do provide support. Most of us are in practice and we teach in the class, right? I had that call saying, you've been promoted. And I'm saying promoted for what? I'm just offering support. I don't want to take this deeper. But why? And I'm now pulled in more, actually at a higher level, at what you call the presidential management opportunities. I'm saying, I didn't apply for this. They said, well, you're doing such good work. What stood out for them, even though I'm an external providing support, was my EMBA. So this is how much broader, regardless of whether you're in ministry or nonprofit, that the EMBA adds to you. You could be in the judiciary. You could be running your own thing, an executive somewhere. So if that helps. Thank you, Dr. Hamilton.
It's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Each person that contributed to that question.
I'd like
yes,
to offer
go ahead.
Quick thought on that. I think the reality is that in everyday life, our influence is worked out in the business arena. And so when you look at the ideas and theory around leadership, I think that can be useful to some degree, but the EMBA is as useful at every front, whether you're dealing with suppliers, or you're dealing with your own business, or you're dealing with, let's face it, ministry organizations are businesses. That's what they are. And so I think the unique thing about the EMBA versus just a straight leadership program is that the context that Baki is presenting in the EMBA program for influence is actually connected to the place and the environment in which that leadership is actually works itself out and is expressed in day to day. And so I think that's probably the big difference. Certainly why I chose to do an EMBA. I don't need, at my age, I don't need another piece of paper What I need is more efficacy, and the EMBA offers that in all of those areas where life gets worked out.
It's awesome. If you're considering the EMBA program, I think what you'll find is students working on startups or being in positions of leadership and influence already, and they're getting this education to help enhance their current roles or pursuits now. So not just learning theory for later to apply it later in the future, but they are doing the work in the professional world now, and they're aligning their education with that, with their experience. So is there one more question that is really pertinent? I'm trying to scroll through the chat box. Is there anything that stands out to you, Michael, or should we move forward in the conversation?
Well, one question that's actually posed by me, so I am confident that's pertinent because I'm joking. So we look at the makeup of a course. You have the weekly content to engage in, weekly discussions, weekly reflection papers. You've got book reviews, group projects, and individual projects. These make up the flow of a course. And I'm interested to know, for those who've been part of the program, what was the most impactful for you as you've engaged other academic institutions that said this was what helped make BGU stand apart?
I would like to share on that question, please, if I may. Yes, what the course does. Thank you, Dr. Hamilton. What the course did for me, the structure of the course, it's about describing what you've learned. It's about analyzing what you've learned with the material and the influence of your peers, and the application. How does this apply to where you are, who you are, and what you're doing? When you approach a course, and in my program at the time, there were 11 courses, if I'm correct, all of these courses give you opportunity to delve deep into what needs to be discovered and how that learning experience is going to shape who you are and what you're going to become, in the future. And I am not sure, I've done other studies in different universities and so on. I think what is missing from most of those other universities were the application. It was the application. You need to pay attention, not only to what you have in your hand and what other people are saying, but how does that apply to you? And what are you going to do with this information, And I think that is where BGU stands out. Like I said before, it adds value to you as an individual. You cannot have one foot in and the other out. It brings you entirely in to the learning space, and that is priceless, in my opinion. Thank you.
Yes, well said. So I see that there's some other questions there in the chat, but what I want to do is just move the conversation forward, and the conversation is ongoing. That's what BGU is. It is a massive ongoing conversation that's been happening for decades, and it will continue. And there are many people coming in and out of the conversation. It's a global conversation about how God is impacting the world in and through people who are making a difference in their local community, in their region, in their state, in their nation, and in the world. And so this conversation can go on, and I want to just kind of turn this over to Dr. Scholastica, our illustrious leader, the director of the MBA program. Let her share a little bit more on the call today, and also kind of point each person who might be considering becoming part of this program to just briefly explain how this can be an ongoing conversation, how we can take the conversation to the next step, and what that might look like. And so, Dr. Scholastica, please share with us here in this next part of our call today. Thank you so much, panel.
Right. Thank you so much, the panel, and everyone that has taken, you've taken your time to be here. I'm really appreciative. Would you, Michael or Martine, help share the slides, or maybe I can do that? I would like to invite us today to make a decision. So many people are here. You probably are thinking of elevating your leadership, strengthening some organizational skills, and you may want to take a course or two or the entire EMBA program. Some may know someone that would want to do similar. And so this information would be helpful for us. I'm going to share my screen here. Let me know if you see it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can see.
Great. Great. So today I am offering on behalf of the EMBA degree program some incentive to encourage us to take that next step. One of the things we may not have dwelt on is the affordability of the EMBA degree program at Bake. It's truly, I haven't seen, a lot of schools that are that affordable, but we're extending today to everyone on the call a special promotion for anyone that would indicate their interest to register to take the EMBA degree program. We are waiving the application fee. Also note that we are extending a $500 per credit hour as a gift for tuition reimbursement for anyone on this call that will be referring or referred someone to the university to take a course or register for the EMBA program. And how that works is once a student signs up and they take one course successfully, then you get a $500 reimbursement or credit towards your own degree. You can donate that also, store them up and donate them to a person that may need them if you do not need it. I see you all as partners together with the EMBA degree program, so we're sharing this gift today with you. Now, what does this mean in terms of a time frame? I'm also extending a real-time online virtual support. What does that mean? We are right now at the last quarter of the year, and we do admissions on a rolling basis. So we only have 2 more months, November the 7th and December, for reviewing interests or applications for admission. So that means if you are to benefit from the application fee waiver, your applications should be in by the end of October. Will be a good time to be reviewed by the academic committee for acceptance. The final time to be considered would also be November 30th for the last review of the year. So in order to facilitate this process, I know how, sometimes we have a lot going, we can procrastinate. I'm offering real-time online application support to be provided on 3 different dates here. October the 7th, and I'm going to turn this over in a minute to Dr. Cheyenne to help with this. We're providing this real-time support. Why are we doing this? We have students from all over the world, and sometimes even when we want to do something, we just need that push and guidance to say, this is what you do, this is how you do it. And we have provided the moving parts you need for your application, like a photo ID, like your, just a photograph, a passport for your online form, like personal ID. It could be government issued, any ID, applicable in your context or country, to order ahead of time for your transcripts, and unofficial copies are welcome. To prepare your writing sample ahead of time. Think about who can be a character reference. We do a PLC, Personal Learning Committee system, where you select like 3 people that will walk you through this journey. Think of who those are. All we need is their name and their email as part of your form, consenting that they would be a part of this process with you. And so what I'm saying is, work on these moving parts ahead of the dates that I provided in the previous slide. Choose whatever time, like you see in the previous slide, works for you. And then when you come on to online real time, a professor will be there to man these opportunities and lead us through, completing this and having it submitted. That way, you are taking care of making sure you are online to be considered this year. I'm moving it to Cheyenne now, but I'd like to say this. This is a good time of the year to think about, how do I elevate my leadership? You don't get to take a course in this year anymore, but you can prepare to be accepted so that come next year, you are starting something new in your life, a gift for yourself. Dr. Cheyenne, can you please take over and walk us through seeing any interest today or anyone nominating any person to be followed up with? Thank you.
All righty. Good morning, everyone. Thank you again, Dr. Scholastica. Yes, as you mentioned, my name is Dr. Cheyenne Harvey. I am the adjunct faculty with BGU. I'm here just to provide you with that online application support should you require assistance. If any one of you are interested in our EMBA program, I'm going to ask that you kindly put your email information in the chat, and please note that only administrators can see your email address. And should you wish to keep that private, that is fine. So our first session will be held on October the 7th, 2023, and I'm going to send you the Zoom link. Once I receive your email, I'm going to also follow up just to ensure that you are ready, so that when we meet on the 7th, all of your documents and everything will be ready for the upload. All righty. So again, kindly go ahead and post your email address in the chat for us, please. Thank you so kindly.
Dr. Harvey, there are a couple of dates here. October 7th, which is like 2 or so and a half weeks from now. There is the October 21st as well, which is a later time. So you want to go ahead and indicate a time that may be workable. Do we have any selections here at this time? And Michael, feel free to jump in, because I know you were available to help a group that may be willing to do this on October 21st.
Yes, that is correct. If the 21st of October works better for you, right now it is scheduled for 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, but we can adjust that time as needed. But if the date works, please just put your email in that chat box with that date, and I'll follow up with you, just as Dr. Harvey has already outlined. Additionally, the slide that Dr. Scholastica shared a moment ago with the admissions bullet pointed list, I put that in a PDF with the active links in the chat box so that you can open that link, download it, hold on to it. Just to be aware, most of this is something that you already just have, we have to pull from, but just want to reemphasize the need to, upload that photo and then personal ID. On number 2, if English is your second language, there is a test waiver that you need to either take or retain that waiver statement and get that to admissions. The emails for character references. There's also assistance for if you need to get your transcript on number 9, we can pull that for you and help you with that. But as far as the work needed to prepare for it, a lot you already have. Those are the few things that we want to outline, and we'll make sure that you already have in your possession and ready to go leading up to the application session to where we help you submit that on time. I believe that would be the preparation here. Dr. Scholastica, so I'll send this over to you just for any closing remarks.
Yeah, so just drawing your attention to, I believe Dr. Harvey mentioned the email addresses are on the screen. Michael's email, Cheyenne's email. They're on the screen. Feel free to contact us, and I would encourage, do type your email. It's private in that chat box. Closing remarks would be to say, procrastination is not our friend. 2010, I had wanted to do graduate studies, further graduate studies. My work was in the way. As a result, I had missed 100% scholarship that was offered to me at that time. Work is important, but how much better it is to develop yourself while you're working, because the time will not wait, and you want to ask yourself, a couple of years from now, will I be more valuable to that organization that's taking all my time? Or will somebody else walk in the door and be more attractive to them? So I am a believer of being a great steward, but we're also in a world where if you stop developing yourself for the excuse, it's not really an excuse, but for the critical word of busy, life will go forward, and you may find out not being as relevant to the same life that was so busy. So activity with good sense, it's very important, so that, as a friend of mine says, we can serve our gifts and our talents well. I would say one more thing. All the time that I didn't take advantage of graduate studies until when I did, was not as busy as when I actually started the program. So it means that there will never be a perfect time, to tell you the truth. So listen to your heart and to what God is telling you. And, address every fear and every question, whether it be time, whether it be family, whether it be money. When I stepped my foot into trying to continue graduate study, I didn't know how all the finances will come. But when I did, the doors began to open, they began to come. So we're happy you came. Let this last quarter of the year be a time to reflect. As you give friends and family gifts and you think about, how do I get myself, everybody else around me to the next level, don't forget yourself. We have offered this online support to allow you take that step. Take advantage of it. You don't have to take classes this year. There's no more term available, but you can make sure you apply and you are accepted, so that come next year, you start classes at your leisure and you are growing. That's a good gift for yourself. Don't help everybody else and be left behind. Do something for you this time. I want to thank you, BGU leadership, Dr. Martin, all the panelists, Dr. Les, Dr. Mbanga, Joanne Comfort for being here, my advisory council, all of you for being here, the moderators, fantastic job. May the Lord help us be responsible for our gifts and talents, for our time. I hope when we're meeting again, we would be able to say, this is the next step that I took, and we will be celebrating higher together. Thank you so much, Michael. Over back to you.
Thank you. Yes, again, thank you to the panel. It's great, as we, having been a recipient of the MBA program and working at Walmart Corporate, as they are taking on the task of being a regenerative business, more clearly defined. We talked about the circular economy and a new initiative that they're taking on, and looking for new leadership to take it that direction. It was great to say, I've been in this conversation in this academic and practitioner world because of BGU leading up to this. And it was great to be a part of this today in this program, who is not just driven by their faith in Jesus, but is really on the cutting edge of where business is going. And so thank you all for participating. Thank you, those who are interested, for attending and listening and exploring. We're here to help you. You see any information on the screen here that you need to get more information, copy those emails. And with that, I'm going to close in prayer and dismiss us. Let's pray. God, we thank you for the fact that you care about all things, that in your redemptive plan, it's not just rescuing or saving souls, it's bringing heaven to earth. It's the renewal and restoration of the world. We thank you that you have embedded wisdom in us and in the things that we're doing, and that you're asking us to participate with you in making all things new. We thank you for hearing from the panel and how they're participating with you and how their experience at BGU has shaped that journey. They pray blessings on our day to day, and we thank you for everyone here. Pray just peace on their family and blessings on their professional career. We pray this in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, one God, now and forever. Amen. Thank you all again. You are dismissed.
Amen. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.